yes. Here we go again, give you more, nothing lesser. Back on the mic is the
Standard VAUS Study Guide 8 through 11 is what we're going to be discussing today. I'm John. That's Liam, Kyle, and AJ's in the wagon.
That is a nice.
We didn't ride John's.
Yes, I'm moving west.
Essential
Yeah, moving
understandings in Chapter 8, or Section 8, is about American growth in the 19th and 20th centuries, including manifest destiny and westward expansion. Take it away, Liam.
We'll be discussing economic opportunity, industrialization, technological change, and immigration-fueled American growth and expansion. Our central question is, what factors influence American growth and expansion in the late 19th and early 20th century? Hit us up with some facts, Kyle.
Well, westward movement has been going on for a long time, and the belief in Western movement that it was good for the United States, is expanding the United States would be manifest destiny, as John mentioned earlier.
Woo!
And what helped out the Western movement was the Homestead Act of 1862, which gave the public land if they stayed out west in the certain spot for 5 years. And more facts coming to you by AJ.
Another big piece of knowledge that you should know is the immigrants that flocked to America. They came here because it's basically the free country. They came to escape the governments of their old countries, and they wanted the American dream, which was like just to live here, have a better life for your family, for your kids. And the amount of people that came here really helped out our industrial industries, and they also had religious freedom.
Thank you.
Back to you, John.
Thank you, AJ, for that intellectual value that you sustain. Immigrants came by the thousands to America.
Millions.
By the millions, even.
Possibly billions.
Not billions, but millions. Before 1871, most of the immigrants came from Western Europe, which is Germany and Great Britain and Sweden, like Ibrahimovic. During 1871 to 1921, after World War I, by the way, most immigrants came from Eastern Europe.
We're in following the Civil War.
No, we're not. You're so behind.
No, we're just like doing. Hey, go on, John.
Carry on.
This guy's misinformed. Anyway, after World War I, most of the immigrants came from Eastern Europe, which was Italy, Greece, Poland, Russia, Hungary, and Yugoslavia. Why are you laughing?
I just farted.
And we're back with growth of cities. The growth of cities was due to industrialization, which was more up in the north, and that was the cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and New York. And with the growth of the cities, that also came from immigration too. So we had bigger tenements and slums. But we also need to upgrade our transportation system in our cities, and we got sewage systems and water systems throughout the city. Emissions of new states came from the westward expansion, and that came from the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains that were added to the Union in the 20th century. Back to you.
All right, on to Standard VUS.8 B. Some essential understandings. It was during the period from the Civil War to World War I, and we underwent some economic transformations that involved a new industrial economy and the expansion of big business, and also the growth of large-scale agriculture. We had some new inventions, corporations, the Bessemer steel process, which made making steel very cheap. The Light Bulb by Thomas Edison,
Light bulb.
and electricity. Telephone by Alexander Graham Bell. Airplane by the Wright brothers. And assembly line by Henry Ford.
Should have been a Chevy.
Also, industrial leaders were Andrew Carnegie, Steel, J.P. Morgan, Finance, John D. Rockefeller, Oil, and Vanderbilt Railroads.
Featured on our last benchmark.
Whatever. And then the reasons for the economic transformation were the laissez-faire capitalism, which
Probably you know that word.
which was not sure what that was.
Government.
Anyways, the increasing labor supply and America's possession of a wealth of natural resources in navigable rivers. And to John.
In section 8C, we learn about discrimination and segregation against black people, who are our brothers
Amen.
And sisters.
and sisters sometimes. How did race relations in the South change after Reconstruction, after the Civil War? And what was the African American response? Laws took away many of African Americans' freedoms during Reconstruction. After Reconstruction, the Jim Crow laws in the South stopped African Americans from basically doing anything. And everything was considered separate but equal.
White supremacy.
Intimidation and crimes were directed against African Americans,
We're all a part of the Klan.
aka lynchings and hangings. African Americans looked to the courts to safeguard their rights. In the Plessy versus Ferguson court case, the Supreme Court ruled that separate but equal did not violate the 14th Amendment. Many African Americans responded, such as Ida Wells, who led an anti-lynching crusade
They
and
lynch
called
white people.
on the federal government to take
Where Lynchburg
action.
came from.
Booker T. Washington invented
T?
invented the peanut butter.
The peanut butter.
The peanut butter.
But I thought that was Carver.
Shut up.
I'm pretty sure
He
you're wrong,
believed-
John.
Yeah, I'm saying Washington.
Dang it!
Peanut butter.
That won't be on the benchmark.
I was
don't
for
worry.
sure that was right.
You should like
He
just add a
believed-
wink to that.
He believed the way to equality was through vocational education and economic success.
Did you really
He
say-
also accepted social segregation. W.E.B. Du Bois believed that education was worthless without equality.
Amen.
He supported political equality for African Americans by helping to form the NAACP.
Too soon.
And over to AJ.
All right. We're going to be talking about the progressive movement.
Woo!
Which is pretty exciting, but you know, no, it's not. But let's go. All right. It's basically about industry and what kind of goals they set for, like, the government was not just a bunch of people telling what the people to do, but the people would actually influence what the government did. So they had, like, elections. They could rise, like, ideas for laws, such as, like, child labor laws or female employment. And they also created labor unions, which enforced those laws. Also the women's...
Do the antitrust thing.
Yeah. The antitrust laws, such as the Sherman Antitrust Act, they prevented businesses to do restrained trades, which prevented them to be like monopolies, you know, because they'd just be... Thank you, Liam. The Clayton Antitrust Act expands the Sherman Antitrust Act, and the union...
Oh, sure is coming.
It exempted the unions. Whoa. Another really big event that happened during this time would be the women's suffrage movement, which was basically women wanting equal rights with men.
Section 9A deals greatly with American foreign policy issues during the 20th century.
Kind of got me off guard there. This was America's intervention in World War I,
I'll do the second one.
which ensured her, America's a beautiful lady,
Beautiful
role
lady.
as a world power for the remainder of the century. Some essential questions we gotta keep in mind are, why did the United States abandon its traditional isolationist foreign policy?
And how did the United States expand its influence throughout the world,
Starting with the creation of international markets.
which included the open door policy
Also,
instated by Secretary of State John Hay.
also the dollar diplomacy, which was President Taft urging American banks and businessmen to invest in Latin America. He promised that the United States would step in if unrest threatened their investments.
And another thing that helped was the growth in international trade occurring from the late 1800s to World War I, the first era of a true global economy
Of the whole globe.
of the whole globe. The whole thing.
In Latin America, where our Spanish friends are from,
Hola.
we have Spanish-American War. Puerto Rico was being annexed by the United States,
Sounds painful.
and the United States asserted the right to intervene in Cuban affairs.
Also, the Panama Canal and the role of Theodore Roosevelt
Teddy.
helped in Latin America. The United States encouraged Panama's independence from Colombia. What? Also, parties negotiated a treaty to build the canal.
Asia and the Pacific, Hawaii. U.S. efforts to oppose Hawaii's monarchy. U.S. annexation of Hawaii.
And the Philippines annexed after the Spanish-American War.
Open door policy urged all foreigners in China to obey Chinese law.
Okay.
Okay, now introducing us into SOL 9B, we have
B for
the
boring.
U.S. involvement in World War I and how it got started. Well, there's two main things that happened for the U.S. to come into World War I. It was the sinking of the Lusitania, and
And welcome back to Learning with Liam, John, Kyle, and AJ. We are now in section VA, VUS.10A. Essential understanding is that popular culture reflected the prosperity of the era, and a question that we must all ask ourselves is, how did radio, movies, newspaper, magazines promote challenges to traditional values? John, take it away.
Thank you, Liam. Some essential knowledge that we're going to need for this section are about mass media and communication by the way of radio and broadcast jazz and fireside chats by the president. Movies, the cinema, provided escape from the Depression-era realities. Newspapers and magazines shaped cultural norms and sparked fads.
Oh,
Ignore
give me a
them.
McChicken!
I'm getting ready to go back to sleep and munch this. As soon as I eat these, I'm gonna go
That's
back.
like half a McGaming, just to make bang.
What?
And we're back. Mass media and communications, as I said before, were a very big part of this time era. Challenges to traditional values was also a big player in this time. Traditional religion shaped the landscape. Darwin's theory and Scopes trial. Also, traditional role of women was changed because they got jobs and stuff. Open immigration and the rise of the new KKK. Woo! And also the smuggling of alcohol due to prohibition. AJ?
Alright, now we're going to start on 10B. It basically was right after the World War I. We had a big boom, and then the stock market crashed in 1929. Business was booming, but then the investments killed us basically and took out our economy. Businesses failed and the banks shut down. Stock market crashed.